One. Welcome to Insights with York Zuki. I have the pleasure to be live with the legend that is Guy Harris, or more famously known as the gray bearded one. Guy, judging by your gray hair and gray beard, you've been around the block. You've done a hell of a lot of work with a multitude of startups and entrepreneurs. Straight from the start, I want to ask you, in your experience, what's the biggest mistakes startups do when undertaking this entrepreneurship journey?
Well, the first thing is they produce what they want or what they think the market wants rather than what the market actually needs. So they don't actually produce a product for the market, they produce a product for themselves. The second thing is that they want to retain 100% ownership. They're not prepared to dilute. They're not prepared to bring in other people, whether it's financial partners or business partners. And as a result, their business stays a lot smaller. They seem to miss the arithmetic class that explained that 10% of $1 million is worth a lot more than 1,000 rand. So they try and avoid diluting, and they try and protect the IP rather than being first to market. They think if they've got IP, intellectual property over their product, that nobody can copy it. You've just, in the IP world, you've got to also have not only the patent, but you've got to have the pocket equivalent to the person who's going to challenge you on it. And if you haven't got that, you may as well better invest that time and energy and resources in being first to market and outmaneuvering the larger, bigger, slower, less innovative organizations.
A lot of startups are afraid of finding partners, not so much of a dilution of shares in exchange for an investment, but a lot of the startups are worried about bringing on board people who, let's call it then, are married to them until death do them apart. What is your advice to entrepreneurs when looking for partners? And I don't just mean co-founders, I mean investors and stakeholders.
Yeah, it's nearly as important as looking for your wife. There's got to be very clear understanding. You've got to align the objectives of the various partners. There needs to be absolute trust between the various partners. You can't have a partner who's continually looking over his or her shoulder to wonder whether the other partner is getting 0.2% more than they're getting, or are they jumping into business bed with somebody else, things like that. There's got to be absolute trust. You've got to do due diligence both ways. So if a big company wants to get involved with you, they're going to do a due diligence of you, but you've got to do a due diligence of the big company as well. And so whenever there's a partnership or a long-term relationship, make sure you do your due diligence and make sure that it's a strategic due diligence and not just a transactional due diligence. So don't go and count the petty cash. Get inside the brain of the person. What motivates them, and can you get good alignment with that?
Wonderful. That was Guy Harris. Date before you get married. Thank you for that, Guy.